Hello and welcome to another week of chess openings with me, Slag, as we go over all the main openings that you can experience as a beginner playing the game of chess. This week we have a very exciting opening called the Danish Gambit. What makes this exciting is that you give up 2 pawns for center control of the board and good attacking lines with 2 center bishops. So without further ado, let's begin. We're going to show you how to do the opening of the variation, how to set it up. We're going to look at then the Danish Gambit Accepted variation and kind of the main tenets of what you should be looking at when you do the accepted variation. We're going to go over the Danish Gambit Declined and a couple of different lines that you can get there. We're going to look at black and what is a great way to refute the Danish Gambit and fight off the attacks that white is throwing at black. And then we can also look at a good counter to the refutation from white if black does decide to throw in that refutation. So to start us off, we're going to look at how to even set up the Danish Gambit. And you start off with a nice e4, e5, which you're going to find a lot of games with, which makes this really fun to practice because you're going to have a lot of games like this. You then push up with another center pawn at d4, prompting black to take. If they take, great. You then throw in another pawn with them. Throw them c3, feed them to the wolves. We don't care. And this is where either you get the accepted or the decline. In the accepted variation, we'll look at this game here. The pawn took on c3. You don't want to take directly with this pawn right away. You actually want to develop the bishop. And the reason being because if that pawn takes that pawn there, you lose 3 pawns, but now you get a great double bishop attack on the center of the board, creating a lot of problems for white moving forward. So the main ideas here are basically to get your queen over here to d3 so that you can attack this and throw this king off kilter while also developing your knight and getting to a castle right away. So in this game, black throws in a check right away, trying to get something started. You throw in the knight. You do not want to trade off this bishop here because it is a big part of the attack in the Danish Gambit. The queen will come out here to try to defend an attack on the white king or on the black king. We will then push the knight out here to e2, preventing this check here. Black in this game developed its knight to f6, further attacking this pawn, and we castled to get out of any danger whatsoever. Black also castled, and if we can look at the board here, and there is just a lot of control for the center for white. It is about a little bit of an advantage for black, but as the game progresses, we can attack this knight, causing it to squirm a little bit. The bishop took the knight, and we traded that off, and we have the 2 attackers here. The knight then retreats, trying to get out of the way, and look at this development from black. We have so many developed pieces, and black is on the back rank. Its king is obviously protected, but there are a lot of different attacking lines that we can go about moving forward. We then bring this knight up because it's very important that when we're in this position, we keep attacking with full force. When you're playing a gambit, you got to be aggressive from start to finish, and the Danish Gambit is no exception to that rule. So this game didn't last very much longer because the queen comes out here trying to attack this bishop here. The queen comes and defends the bishop. Knight comes out trying to develop, try to attack a pawn. We get the rook up there attacking this file, and black comes to try to attack the queen here. But it's really easy for white to refute. We just go out here while still defending this bishop, and there's still no threat on this. And from here, you have a lot of different attacking positions on this king side attack right here. You have a knight in a great position to attack. You have bishops barreling down on the king's sights there. I mean, you can just push up this pawn and disrupt any defenses that black may have. Now, before I go any further, if you get anything out of this video, please like the YouTube video. It helps me understand what kind of content that you, the viewer, likes so that I can keep providing that value to on a continual basis. So the next thing that we're going to be looking at is when the Danish Gambit is declined. After black takes our d4 pawn, we push up the c3. He says, nah, I don't want any of that. I'm actually just going to decline that and go after your e4 pawn, trying to take up even more of the center control. What white wants to do is to take that pawn. Black's going to take it with its queen and try to take as much control in the center as possible. And we take with that pawn here, giving us a pawn in the center, leaving these 2 squares vulnerable for the king and creating a lot of different attacks. So what we're going to want to do in the Danish Gambit Declined is get our knight out here, bring our bishop here to protect any checks from the queen, and castle early and try to develop pieces early. So black tries to develop its knight, trying to get that pawn out there. We get our knight out here defending this pawn. They get their other knight out, and we bring this bishop out, trying to castle early. Bishop comes out, trying to attack the king here and putting it in check, trying to prevent us from castling. So we bring the knight out, defending the king, but also attacking the queen there. This bishop comes out to try to create another formidable attack, because the queen is here as well, trying to disrupt our castling situation, but we don't care. We're going to castle and get our king out of danger. Now that leaves this queen for danger here, so if black forgets about it, nice free queen for us. But in this game, the queen backed out and we pushed up here trying to force the knight away. By forcing this knight away, he's not gonna be able to go here or here or here. He's gonna have to go back to its original line. And from there, you push the knight up here and attack the queen and possibly get a fork right there. So the next thing we're gonna be doing is looking at a refutation of the gambit and what a lot of high level players do when facing the Danish Gambit as black. It starts off with black taking the pawn. We develop the bishop. They'll take the other pawn, getting the bishop out. Everything looks fine and dandy. But the way to refute the gambit is to be aggressive and push this pawn up here to d5, attacking both the bishop and the pawn. Now, you don't want to take with the pawn here because it blocks your bishop, and that's a big no-no, and you ruin all development that you have as white. So what white does is they take with the bishop. So black now has this nice pin on the queen here. And so black wants to develop this knight here to attack this bishop and get it out of the way. So the nice thing for white is they think they have a nice trick up their sleeve where they put the king in check, king takes, and then queen takes. You think you have won a queen, you think you're winning, everything's great in the world, but it's an easier refutation for black. By putting the king in check, there's no way to stop it. So the queen will come back and you can trade off there. So as white, how do you best refute this gambit moving forward? And the best way to go about that is when you take here, you develop, we get the bishops out, and when the refutation comes, you take with the bishop and you defend with the knight defending the bishop. Yes, you don't get to trade the queens, but it puts you at a more even position as white. You can see here that the point difference is black is up by 1.2 points. So as it plays out, you just keep trading. The pawn comes out, kicks the knight away to trade off queens and prevent black from castling moving forward, putting white at a better advantage at a whole piece and a half ahead of black. So that's the Danish Gambit. A lot of fun to play, a very aggressive opening as well, and you'll have a lot of fun playing it as you tear apart your opponent moving forward. Next week, we're going to be going over the famous bong cloud and what it means for you and your family. So we'll have that video right here, and we hope to see you then. Yeah, goodbye.